Sri Lanka is in abject crisis mode at the moment. The shortages keep mounting with fuel only distributed for essential services. This means the economy will surely grind to a halt sooner rather than later. Kaleidoscope wants to bring some cheer even in these dark times. We are, after all, positive, daring, different. So let's try with a little trip to Dambulla. This is the Rose Quartz mountain range, which rises from Nauyana, the oldest and largest man-made forest in Asia. Scholars say the seven pink mountains in this range is over 500 million years old and is the largest rose quartz deposit in Asia. Welcome to Kaleidoscope with me, Savithri Rodrigo. Up ahead, an assessment of the Colombo stock market. Sri Lanka's first audio travel guide app. Making those shoes fit, a chat on malnutrition with UNICEF, market news plus lots more. If you like what we have, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
Did you know you can open a digital fixed deposit with just 5,000 rupees? Open a CDB iDeposit digital fixed deposit today. CDB, your friend.
It's time for a quick look at our week on CDB Snapshot. Sri Lanka's economy contracts by 1.6% in the first quarter of 2022, with the agriculture sector declining 6.8%, the highest since 2015, and the industrial sector contracting by 4.7%. Sri Lanka's exports reached the $5 billion mark in the first 5 months of 2022. The rubber industry is on track to reach $2 billion in export revenue this year. The world's biggest bacterium, the size of an eyelash, has been discovered in a Caribbean mangrove. Top Gun Maverick becomes the first $1 billion grossing Tom Cruise film. Eau de Bacon is the newest men's cologne on the market, and you guessed right, it's bacon scented. And this balloon monkey sold for over $12 million to assist those wounded in the Ukrainian war.
World of risks and obstacles, we are there to help you reach your goals. With 12 billion rupees worth of customer benefits in 2020 and a life insurance fund worth over 100 billion rupees. Our strength is your strength. You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Srilanka Life.
Welcome, you're watching our Srilanka Life News Capsule. While the stock market is the barometer of the economy, the economic crisis has not helped. However, while other markets have multiple products, the Colombo stock market is a single product market, something the newly appointed chairman Dilshan Weerasekara is planning on changing. He wants to diversify the market into a multi-product one, with real estate investment trusts and gold-backed products, ensuring investors are allowed a hedge on investments and stock borrowing and lending move to a regulated short setting. Dilshan is optimistic but very clear about what the ground situation is like. So Dilshan, you've taken on the Colombo Stock Exchange at one of the most unprecedentedly challenging times. What is your current assessment?
The market itself has retraced back about almost 40% for the year from the highs we saw it hit last year. However, I do believe that valuations are still in a very sound place. If you just take into account the last quarter earnings for 31st of March 2022, we've seen our listed companies record all-time high on profitability, taking our earnings up to about 286 billion for that quarter, which is a 134% increase. Now, while those earnings may be impacted in the future due to various other factors around the economy, I still believe that companies would remain profitable and certain sectors would still do well, like the export sectors, dollar earning companies. And if you look at market multiples, our market multiples are at historical lows. They're at lows that we've not even seen during the 30-year war. So we are down to a 0.8 times of net asset value in terms of market multiple, and about less than 5 times in terms of PE ratio. So I think still that once we get into IMF program, once some stability on the economy is achieved, that investors would come back looking at the valuations, and I'm quite hopeful that even foreign investment will start flowing post a IMF program. So it will take some time, and I think we are in for yet a fairly challenging period for the remainder of the year. But thereafter, I do believe that the market holds value and that investors would see that value and start coming.
At the Colombo Stock Exchange this week, the all-share price index fell by 4%, with the average daily turnover being a disappointing 1 billion rupees. WTI oil prices continue to remain steady at $110 per barrel, with worries about slower economic growth around the world being offset by ongoing concerns about tight crude supplies. The price of gold remains static at $1,817 per ounce as the dollar continued to remain strong while central banks around the world hiked interest rates. Remember those audio guides at tourist attractions around the world? Well, Sri Lanka now has its first. BA.LA.MU, a versatile mobile travel app with entertaining audio guides giving free tripping travelers the space to explore a tropical paradise. With us today is a woman who put it together, the founder of BA.LA.MU, Shenuka Hapagoda.
So I actually started in December when tourism started picking up after the COVID restrictions were eased. Unfortunately, we are in the economic crisis that we find ourselves now. But I think Sri Lanka as a tourist destination is a place that people will always return to. The information was available, but it was very fractured, and it was a case of kind of getting it all together. And the other thing we find when looking for the information is you've got lots of different versions of the story that is out there. So it's a case of kind of trying to figure out what's correct. And so 9 destinations is just the start. I think there's lots more to cover in the country. I've still not covered Jaffna, Anuradhapura, Trincomalee, Mannar. So we plan on covering those, and we also plan on putting an experience booking system within the app, so it allows you to see what's there in the area and then book those experiences.
If you want to ponder on the world's problems, you can join the thousands who are already booked in to the 0-star hotel. It has no roof or walls, sits in front of a petrol station, and promises guests sleepless nights. Happy pondering! Speed up your reading. What better way than learning to speed read with Sanjeev? You will be able to read at double quick time, and wherever you are, we can gift you one. Let us know. Sri Lanka has had some very good human development indicators in South Asia, but the economic crisis has pushed it to having the second highest child malnutrition rate in South Asia. Soaring food prices, scarcity of cooking gas and fuel, and frequent power cuts have hindered vital services for children, including healthcare and education. The United Nations launched an appeal to address the urgent needs of the most vulnerable populations, and UNICEF has appealed for $25.3 million to help 1.7 million children in Sri Lanka at the risk of succumbing to malnutrition-related diseases. With us on Let's Talk today is the representative for UNICEF in Sri Lanka, Christian Skoog. Welcome, Christian. It's so good to have you on the show. You've worked in Mexico, in Guatemala, in Haiti, now in Sri Lanka, and you would, I'm sure, realize that children are the most vulnerable in crises and also the most forgotten. Why does this happen?
Most of the time because we live in a world that's adult-oriented or adult-centric. Adults make decisions for children. Children don't really have a voice. So our role as UNICEF is to try to bring out that voice, either directly or indirectly. They are supposed to have a right to be heard, for their opinion to be taken into consideration. So that's what we are pushing for, and that's why they're many times forgotten, because people don't. They think for them and act for them.
Sri Lanka has always had very good human development indicators for this region, especially for children. But right now, UNICEF says that malnutrition is the second highest in the whole of South Asia in Sri Lanka. How did this happen so fast, so soon?
It's not new. This has, the progress was okay until about 20 years ago, but since then it's been stagnating. So it's not new. It's like children. They haven't listened to UNICEF before, but, but these are official data from the countries, so there's nothing new as such.
So what are the long-term and short-term impacts of malnutrition on the child population of Sri Lanka?
When it comes to wasting, it can be very dangerous, but it can also be easily treatable. If you ensure some therapeutic, very nutritious food, high nutrient value, they will recover very quickly. If they don't get that, it can be life-threatening. There is also stunting, where children are shorter. They don't grow normally. That's not life-threatening, but it affects you for life, because it reduces your growth, both cognitively and physically. So it's an obstacle for a whole life. But wasting is acute, but also easily treatable.
Now, in the immediate, what can be done to change things around for our children suffering from malnutrition or are vulnerable to it?
One is to respond, to make sure that the supplies are there for this therapeutic food, to treat them very easily. It goes for a few weeks, and then they should be back to recovery. At the same time, in a slightly more medium perspective, we need to make sure that the main obstacle here, which is low birth weight, so the mothers and when they are pregnant are not, they don't have enough nutrition coming into their bodies to sustain themselves and their baby. So we need to make sure there's closer monitoring and supplement given to pregnant women. Then there are also how you feed, or the feeding practices, that to make sure that babies after breastfeeding, after 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding, get nutritious food.
So given there's a food crisis looming around the world, and Sri Lanka is no exception, what should policymakers have as their priorities in decision-making to at least limit the impact of hunger and thereby malnutrition on our child population?
As well. So get the food production back on track, making sure the supplies to treat nutrition are there, but also to prevent it, much cheaper to prevent. So make sure that some of these feeding practices are adopted, or sensitized to the population so that they can adopt them, and focus specifically on pregnant women, that they get the nutritious support for them and for their babies.
So getting food production right, preventing this in some way, and so that we are able to get food on the table, nutritious food on the table, and ensure that the mums or expectant mums have good nutrition so that the children born are healthy.
Yes. Yeah.
3 good things to remember.
Simple. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Christine.
Thank you. My pleasure.
When Disna Ratnayaka's husband died, leaving her with a 1-year-old daughter, she decided to launch into a business that the couple had always dreamed about. The result? Soundarya shoes, which are sold via her social media pages, Soundarya online store.
It's been 15 months when I started this small business. Actually, when I started it, I had very small knowledge about footwear, how they manufacture them, and how to develop the business. But now my knowledge has grown so much about women's footwear production, the market trends and all. Also, as an entrepreneur, I have quite a good knowledge about running your own business. Now, there is a high demand for women's footwear in the market. And we are trying to meet their requirements by making customized design for them. They just have to tell us what they like, and we are trying to ready to make it for them. This has been dream coming true, and I hope to give my customers the best quality footwear in the future too.
Adieu for now. We shall return next Friday. Here's our Kaleidoscope takeaway. To lose patience is to lose the battle.